say it because I've done the legislation and I know what it is. You can't take away something that's already been earned. Okay? Now, as far as the pensions, if you'll bear me a minute, because this takes a little bit of time to explain. And, you know, I'm a labor guy, so I get people really upset when I say this. Teachers, public employees went along with the bonding of the pensions in the 90s. That was criminal. Shouldn't have done it. In trade, this isn't that hard to figure out. Instead of paying 5.5, they got to reduce the contribution to 3.5. Then they lowered the retirement age by 5 years. Then they increased the value of the pension by 9% without 1 penny going in. Oh wow, we're broke. How could that have happened? Even with the government not spending, there's a thing called an assumption on pensions. It's the rate that you assume that your pension is going to be. It's called an assumption rate. The assumption rate's 8.25 on the pensions, which is extremely high. In the private sector, it's 7.5. There's discussions to even reduce that focus. So, over the last decade, they made 2%, not 8.25. So every year we were short 6.25%. So you lowered the contribution for several years. You lowered the retirement age by 5 years. You increased the value of the pension by 9%, and your investments didn't make what they were supposed to make. We're broke. It's that, and the state did not put anything in. I agree. All those things combined, but cause this problem. But the biggest problem is even if the state had put their money in, you're still bleeding money because pensions are very simple. You want more, you pay more. And when you say, why negotiate 5.5% and that's all I'm going to put in, well, that's great. That's not how it works in the real world because when the markets don't function right, you know, when they did the bonding of the pension, they said the stock market would never go down for 30 years. You know, that was the explanation for that. That the market was going to grow like it was growing in the 90s for the next 30 years. That's why they could do all these things they did. So I understand what you're saying. You kept the pensions solvent. They were 2 years away from being bankrupt. Now, you know what happens when a pension goes bankrupt? You have any idea? They cut the benefit of the pension down by a lot because they don't have the money to pay. What I did accomplish in this bill, and I'm proud of what I did and Fred and my colleagues, is we mandated in the legislation that he has to make a pension payment. And he's making the pension payment. And in 30 years, that pension will be solvent because there's 800,000 people relying on that pension. And we have an obligation to provide the workers that have worked on that. Listen, I will never categorize a state worker as greedy because they're not. They're not wealthy, they don't make a lot of money, but the problem was they were misled by leadership. Think about it. How do you all of a sudden you get, I can retire 5 years sooner, and guess what? It didn't cost anything. How's that happen? How's that just appear? No one asked the question. How are we doing this? When it went up 9% in value, all of a sudden your pension, your husband's got a pension that's worth 9% more than what he's paying for it. How'd that happen? No one asked the question because, look, union officials are no different than elected officials. They get elected to office. How nice is it to go back to your members and say, look what I got you. Isn't this great? I got you all these benefits. And honestly, it was a combination of groups working collaboratively, and the workers were at risk. And the workers were very close to losing their pensions. And honestly, I can go to sleep every night knowing I did the right thing. I protected the pensions of 800,000 people, and I'm proud of that. And again, everyone would argue over the pensions. Well, it's not fixing it today. Guess what? It's not going to fix it today. It takes 30 years. And if you don't look 30 years out when you're doing pension calculations, because that's what actuaries do, that's why he said we're going to save $120 billion. We fixed the pension, we were fair with people, and people have to make a decision on how much they want. Because I wouldn't begrudge a worker how much you want? Just gotta pay for it. We're there, I'm happy, people work hard for a living. But you have to put the money in to get the money out. Really, that's as simple as if people have 401ks. You know, if you have a 401k, you only can take so much out because you put so much in. But government's responsible. Believe me, I'm not washing their hands. But there's a whole bunch of players to be blamed for what happened. There's nothing free in this world. And anybody that thinks there is foolish. There is nothing free. You play with pensions, you're playing with fire, you're playing with people's retirements, and it's tragic what happened to these people. It is really tragic because the workers that work, as you said, they took jobs, not big paying jobs, but they took jobs for the security of the pension and health benefits in retirement. The problem is we're paying so much in taxes now, it's harder to do. Healthcare plans are averaging over $20,000 a plan. That's not the workers' fault, and that's not my fault. You know, we got to figure out a way to fix health